Hello, this response is for the amazing atheist. Had a few questions about anarchism. Two, to be precise. I'd like to give a crack at responding. I consider myself a syndicalist, anarcho-syndicalist, libertarian socialist, left Marxist, whatever you'd like to term it, simply an anarchist. First, you asked about roads, and I guess the question would be how we'd maintain our wondrous system of roads, or how would such a system ever have been built. But I think we need to ask ourselves, at what cost do we upkeep such a system? You talked about other European countries focusing more on mass transit. As we near the end of the oil age, I would say, of cheap oil, cheap fossil fuels, we're going to need to seriously invest in some mass transit here in the United States. So, whether or not we need such a system of roads is an assumption that I would have to call into question. And in an anarchist society, roads would be built because the people in that area needed a road, felt they needed a road, wanted to build a road. Not because some bureaucrat in Washington who had $40 million in a budget he needed to spend decided that's what he'd do with the money. That's the system we live in now. You get a new road, or a road gets paved, not because there's some social need. And so the entire dynamic of why things get built, who they get built for, would be completely changed. While you and I might like the comfort of driving around in a car all day, the simple fact is that the globe could not sustain 6 billion people driving around in their own cars. It's not possible. And so in an anarchist society, based on mutual cooperation, free association, decisions would be made that would be in the best interest of all, not you as an individual. And so I would imagine an anarchist society would be much more aimed towards mass transit. And second, before I get to your second question, I'd just like to point out that anarchy is not a lack of organization. Anarcho-syndicalist societies, as in Spain, were very organized, and to equate them with chaos or disorder is just a false assumption. Moving on to your second question, you asked about police. You said that you talked to other anarchists who told you something about the need for a private police force. I don't know who you were speaking to, or what anarchist would ascribe to such an idea, but I think you have to question your underlying assumption that there is a need for police. That assumption's based on ignorance, basically. Police, or as a purveyor of state power, their primary goal is the maintenance of order, not justice. You asked how the poor guy would get justice. Well, the police aren't about justice. The police are about maintaining order and protecting property. In an anarchist society, where there would be no property, property would be owned in common. There'd be no property to protect. There'd be no class to protect, since classes would have been abolished. So the need for police is something I don't see arising in such a society. Issues would be dealt with as they arose. So the idea of how is order maintained most of your order that needs to be maintained right now is due to class conflict. You have the oppressed and the poor, who of course are going to go outside the system that doesn't serve them and do things, and the elite, that upper 1%, are going to try to keep them subservient and oppressed. But much of this problem of order, of stability, is due to class conflict. I wouldn't ascribe it all to class conflict, of course, but once you do away with class, once you do away with hierarchy, the need for such oppressive institutions as the police or any other oppressive state measure would no longer be necessary. There's a lot of great videos I've noticed on YouTube on anarchism, and I hope you will take the time to learn more. Thank you.